Okay, so today's title of the webinar is called 3 Ways School Marketers Can Make More Impact with Their Marketing Budget. We'll go through, first of all, our model for success. This is a model that I developed way back when I started in school marketing, and it really helped us. How to choose the right marketing for your budget, how to make the most of every single touch point that you get with your prospective enrollments, and then how to report on success. And it's a lot more than just reporting on success. It's actually understanding what's happening. Natasha says, I'm new to education sector and new to Carmel School, looking to maximize a limited budget for a very niche target audience. Yeah, Carmel School, being a Jewish school, I'm familiar with Carmel School. And you have and I know that you do international enrollments as well. So you really have a challenge there. So I hope that today is helpful for you. Okay, so the model that I want to go through, so this is the model that I developed. I first spoke about this model when I was in 2010, 2011. I was interviewing for a marketing position within a school. I was coming from a corporate role, and this is something that I mentioned in my interview. It really impressed the interviewing panel and helped me get the role. And this also, when it was implemented into the college, really helped us to stay successful with a very small budget and a lot of pressure to grow from the board. It really helped us to really make the best decisions for our small marketing budget. This model is really about making the most with every single asset that you have at your disposal. It's about being diligent with what you have first before going out and looking for more. And this is a principle that we follow. I'm going through this stage at the moment with my kids. I have 3 kids under 5. And I always say, I'm not going to buy you more toys if you don't look after the ones you have. So just bringing that concept into the marketing world, we need to be diligent at the tools that are at our disposal first before we pay to have a billboard. And meanwhile, if someone drives past our school, the sign's falling on the floor or it looks terrible, we don't have a sign. It's about making sure that there's no holes in the net when we are looking for new prospective families. So it's not about getting tons of inquiries and leads in and then having no follow-up or nurture process and not getting people across the line to actually book a school tour or apply at the college. It's about not paying for platforms where we can actually reach those audiences and build up those audiences for ourselves. We don't want to be paying to reach people that we could have the ability to reach for ourselves. And it's about following up every single inquiry and giving them the best possible experience when they submit an inquiry. So the model is based around, if everyone can see my mouse, so number 1 is build your platform. That means that our website, which in my view is the engine of your marketing, if you don't have a good website, all of your focus, attention, budget, whatever you have should be focused around getting a good website. That means that it's got a great user experience, the navigation makes sense, it loads within 3 seconds for most browsers, it's mobile friendly, the content is up to date, people can submit an inquiry form, book a tour easily. It's just a great seamless experience. Also, it's well branded and it represents your brand well. The next thing we want to do to build our platform is to build our email list. And this came from a concept when back in the day in 2010, 2011, I was thinking, what if I could have the email address and phone number of the parents in our local community? Wouldn't that be much more valuable than just putting a billboard up and being able to reach them at $10,000 a month as a single touch point with 2 or 3 words to make an impression? I mean, basically that's just telling people that you're there, but it's really not changing their minds. Wouldn't it be more valuable for me to build my email list and phone number list than to focus on paid advertising like that? Also, search engine optimization. And this one used to get me all the time because if you work in school marketers, you get those calls every single day. There's another directory website that's taking your information, they're building a directory website and they want you to pay to be on that website every month. And I eventually just put my foot down and stopped advertising on directory websites because the way I explained it to my principal was, we are paying them to compete against us in SEO. Shouldn't we rather focus on building our strengths, our capacities, and getting ahead of them in SEO and being first on the search rankings instead of paying them to be first and relying on them to appear in search rankings. It means that social media, we are putting good content out there. We're building our Facebook pages. Although we don't own this, we do need to have things like insurance, like list insurance and things like that in case social media platforms go down. But using our social media advertising and platforms to its maximum capacity while we can. And then also having great content. Content from your principal, videos, posting it out on places like LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, having, tips and parenting tips, downloadable resources. All of these things together means that you've really focused on your platform first. And that's why we love what we do at Roberts Digital, because most of the work is around this, is about building our schools' platforms. I'm just going to double check. Can everyone hear me while Raquel's saying that some of my audio is breaking up? Is that okay? Just type in the chat if you can hear me well. Yeah, all good. Okay. So give me a heart attack. Okay, all good. Okay, great. So that's the model. So now that we've built your foundation, your platform, the next thing we want to go to is to focus on our proximity. And so we often get calls from clients saying, oh, we want to go into an international market and we have $500 to spend. What I like to do is to win local first. So back in my day when I worked at a small local college, they had a really bad reputation. We had to go through a rebrand first. And they had so they didn't have a terrible reputation. They just had no one knowing about them. And they had, people would live down the road and say, oh, I didn't know you existed. And it used to drive me insane. So what I would do is I did up a map of the local suburbs, and I set benchmarks for what I wanted our enrollments to be for each of those suburbs. I wanted to get at least a 20% market share in each of those local suburbs. And I'd also compare to our competing schools in the neighborhood. What does our market share look like versus their market share and versus the market share of public schools? And then I would start local first. It's always more cost effective to reach down the road than it would be to reach neighborhoods down. And so the strategies I used to really focus, the first year of my strategy sounded ridiculous, but it literally I focused on the first 2 suburbs immediately from next to the school. And that worked really well. It means we could really saturate the market. We were the school for that suburb, and that worked really well for us. And then as you build out, you can then expand suburbs, you can expand your influence, you can look, advertise Brisbane-wide, city-wide. You can then expect, once you have a good local reputation, if you have families living down the road from you, 2 minutes down the road from you, that aren't willing to travel to your school and pay your school fees, how are you going to convince people to travel 30 minutes to school? That was my logic. And that's how we need to think about it. We need to first really nut down, yes, people trust us. Our local people are willing to spend 5 minutes to walk down the road to come to our school. Great, let's go bigger. I hope that makes sense. And then the next thing we can do is to go into niches. So what I see a lot of schools doing with small marketing budgets is they get pressure from the principal. Hey, we're launching this new program, helicopter training program, and it's amazing. Let's get enrollments for it. And meanwhile, you haven't yet nutted down the formula for getting just regular day enrollments for your school. So first nut out how we're going to get regular enrollments, and then go into the niches. Okay, once you've mastered that, now you can go into the hard sell, apprenticeships programs, university preparation programs, extracurricular offerings, international enrollments, boarding enrollments, that sort of thing. Again, if you can't attract the local family down the road, how are you going to get a family to trust you with their child for the full week or the full term in a boarding facility? Great. Does that model make sense to everyone? Just type yes in the chat if you're following. Great. Okay, that's great. So why are schools ineffective in their marketing? I see a lot of schools that are not selecting the right advertising. So they're just doing what they would normally do day to day, or they're just kind of doing what the person before them did. And there's no real like creative thinking strategy behind, hey, do we actually have to, I know we've done this for years, but do we have to do it again? And is it working for us? The next thing I see is that there's no nurturing or funnel. As you know, it takes anywhere from 2 to 3 months to 2 years for a family to decide on a school from that first touch point. And so we need to actually continue the conversation. It's not just about reaching someone from a billboard ad and letting them know that you're here. That's like one touch point, but it's about actually starting conversations and nurturing them down the funnel. And as they're traveling down their decision-making process, hopefully you are learning more and more about what they want and what they need, and what you need to answer to, the objections that you need to answer to, so that they can become more interested in your school and then go for a school tour and then enroll. And then the last reason, which is a huge one, is that our school marketers don't understand their marketing data. So hopefully I can help you with all of those areas. When I worked, I just wanted to share how the system really works. So when I started in schools marketing, as I said, back in 2010, 2011, we were a small school, under 400 enrollments. They had huge pressure to grow, and they hired a marketing person to get them results. And so, and the funny thing was on day one, I discovered that they'd spent their marketing budget for the year. So I had all my time and very little money to put into making the school grow. And it was fun. I absolutely loved working in school. I love working in school marketing. So the whole concept that we did for the school was that we built it around building their platform instead of relying on paid media. We didn't have money to pay for media for the first 6 months. So no magazine ads and no billboards. It was about me building their platform. So that looks like, do we have signage? If that campus specifically was faced back onto a main road and there was no signage, there was no really big impression to be made for the main road. So why would we pay for a billboard ad if we don't even have a sign facing the back road? So the first thing we did, we focused on campus signage and local signage from local businesses and families and things like that. We also focused on Google and SEO instead of paid listings, as I mentioned before. We didn't try, and so building their platform, we built their email list, we built the website, we made sure we were the first to appear in search rankings. We made sure we had great local connections with businesses, churches. It was a Christian school, real estate agents, great relationships that we could stand on. Doing all of that meant that we didn't have to have this huge push every time there was an open event. We didn't have to say, okay, $10,000 worth of advertising spend, billboards, magazines, get the word out. No, the first place we could go to was our email list and our database and our remarketing cookies and things like that. And within the first day of launching any open event, we would have 50 registrations already, not just by putting a banner on our website, doing our email list, doing the SMS marketing, following the formula. So what does that look like? So it was search engine optimization rather than paid listings. It was focusing on their website experience and conversions, that no one who visited the website was left lost and not knowing what to do, that we had good quality traffic to the website, that we were attracting every single person that was looking for a school in the area would land on our website because of great search engine optimization. We had email list of keen families. Their email list quickly grew to 5,000-6,000 families, and we used that email list 2 or 3 times a week. That's how often we use that email list. And we had a system to filter out families that were no longer looking. So we weren't kind of harassing people, but we had them on the email list. We used it while people were interested. We optimized our inquiry follow-up process. So people would, get a phone call the day after they made a first inquiry with us. They would get a follow-up call after a tour booking to see if they had any questions and things like that. We had it systemized that no one would fall through the cracks. We also, one thing, and not every school can do this, but we also had a principal that was very engaged in the enrollment process and a wonderful person to talk to. And that really helped us to get enrollments across the line. We then built reporting dashboards so that we could understand the data and really understand what was happening behind the scenes. And we focused on remarketing, marketing to people based on where they were at on the journey. So we had software installed where if people visited the Kindy page, they would get Kindy specific information. We were segmenting our communications with them so that they weren't feeling spammed. Everything they received was relevant to what they were looking for in that time and specific to the year level they were looking at. And my favorite testimonial that that showed me that this was working was, a few months down the track when we rehauled everything and done this and implemented it. A great family in the college came to me and said, Maura, we actually enrolled in your college and started before our competitor, who was initially our first choice, even phoned us back once. And it was that personal experience, the touch points, the quick response to our inquiry that got us across the line so much quicker. And we literally just got a response from our competitor last week, and we said, no, we've already started in another college. So it really does work to get families across the line. Okay, so reason number one why your marketing is not working is that you may not be choosing the right advertising channels and mediums. For me, I'm always a fan, and this is going to go against a little bit of what we've traditionally taught in marketing. I totally understand that. I'm taking a chance here, but for me, it's about building audiences rather than just focusing on eyes on ads. So I'm not a huge media buyer. I mean, we have media buyers on our team that focus on social media buying, but in terms of traditional media buying, we are very careful. We all have to use traditional media, but we're very careful of what we choose and why we choose it, very strategic about what we use there. So for me, it's about starting a conversation rather than having an eye on an ad, constantly building awareness. We do a lot in the name of building awareness, but it's actually just a billboard. People know you're there. They're not choosing you. You need to dig deeper as to why they're not choosing you. So as I mentioned, focus on your platforms first. Anything that's going to give you an audience that you can leverage, that you can communicate to without having to pay to communicate to that audience, fantastic. When you do engage a marketing agency, ask them, how's it going to build my audiences? A lot of agencies lock down the ad account, the landing page, and everything they do is kind of locked behind the scenes and you have no access to it. So you're not actually building the long-term future of your marketing. Focus on mediums that allow for influence rather than eyes and ads. So we're talking about things that are more long-form copy. Think about PR, magazine articles, radio ads. Instead of just doing a radio ad, talk about, can we do a radio interview where we're actually having a conversation and people can phone in with questions and things like that. Video is awesome for this. It's about influencing people, about saying more than, hey, we're here. It's about sharing your vision and your values and your dreams with audiences and getting them to buy into that vision. Think about inbound marketing strategies. Can you provide ebooks and resources to families that help them in their parenting journeys? Can you provide educational resources from your teachers or training videos, things like that? And then one of my favorites still is email marketing. Are you using your email marketing to talk to families about where they're at every single touch point on their journey? One thing I will mention here is that frequency is key. I'm a huge fan of things like radio advertising if it's the right medium, but frequency, I would rather, if you have a small budget, rather go for 2 weeks of high frequency to advertise an open event than a month of low frequency. First of all, you'll get more registrations in between. No one thinks more than 2 weeks ahead in any case. And if they register before that, you're going to have a system to remind them to attend. But, and also, yeah, higher frequency is always going to get a bigger response. Back in the day when I did marketing for a school, I got locked into we tried all sorts of traditional things. And one of the things that we tried was cinema advertising, which I will never do again. But we got locked into cinema advertising, and it was a great spot. And I thought I was being really, diligent by telling them I don't want to be the first ad that plays because, no one's going to be in the cinema yet. And then we got to playing the ads. I actually went with my team to the cinemas just as an excursion, just to go see it. And it ended up all the ads were in the first minute and a half when no one was in the cinemas. And I just thought that's a perfect example of how advertising mediums are just created so that they can sell something that's not actually created with you in mind, with the effective marketing campaign in mind. And it's not really built around the audiences you want to reach. It's just something to tick the box that they can sell you, so that you can reach audiences. So try to be very aware of that. There's all sorts of things like magazines that are created, with special features every few months, and newspapers with special features. Honestly, those special features get thrown out. They're just there to tick the box, to have something to sell. And schools make great customers for all these advertising mediums. Reason number 2, not nurturing or funnel, or having a funnel for your marketing. As mentioned, it takes more than just one touch point. You don't put a billboard up and people say, oh, you're there. Okay, let's enroll. The problem wasn't that they didn't know about you. The problem was probably that they weren't convinced that you were the right solution for them. Okay, so it takes more than one touch point to change perceptions over time. We need to nurture families from early on. We are seeing, and my colleague was just saying the other day that there's a 5-year waiting list for high school for her daughter. We are seeing that when we talk to clients. People are starting to really book in early. And so you want to start the conversation early. And so you're not going to start the conversation by saying enroll now. You're going to start the conversation by providing value to families of young babies, dare I say, babies, 1-year-olds, 2-year-olds, proving to them that you can add value to their lives, that there is value in private education. So we can nurture through personal phone calls. Yes, we're digital marketers. Yes, we love automatic emails and SMSs and things like that, but nothing's ever going to replace a talented registrar giving a personal phone call, touching base, telling them about the heart of your college. Email sequences, timed correctly, done well. Remarketing based on customer actions, when people engage with your ads, when people visit your website, open your emails, read your SMSs, you can remarket to those people. And then social media posting schedules, having great content posting schedules for prospective families to engage with. It's all about talking to families based on where they're at on their journey. And so if you're talking to young families, with 1-year-olds, 2-year-olds, it's about giving them tools, giving them experience mornings, giving them resources to help them with early learning and learning at home. It's about giving a sneak peek into your classrooms, having morning teas on the campus, engaging families, and just making sure that the door is always open from a young age. And then all the way through to book now, get in for a tour. We see that you're registered, you've visited our website a lot, you're clicking on our ads. Right, now's the right time to show them a enroll now campaign. What I often see is that people, 80 to 90% of marketing budgets in schools is spent on enroll now, and people are literally buying billboards saying enroll now, and they're not actually saying who they are or why they should enroll, or they're not even asking the question, is it on our family's radar to enroll in a private school? Maybe they need some convincing before they get to that stage. And then reason number 3 why our marketing may be ineffective is that we don't understand our numbers. So tracking is extremely difficult. As an agency, this has been, I would say, 60% of our workload in refiguring out the tracking. We've got G4, Google Analytics 4, which has just been launched. We've got the iOS changes that have just been implemented, which is a huge roadblock that we've now overcome. We've got the looking like things, it's going to become a cookieless future, and marketers are scrambling to figure out new ways to track ads. This has been a big year in terms of tracking accuracy, but having said that, it's important that we put into place every single measure, and that's going to take a lot of reading up, understanding what's changing, understanding the technology. There is now a way, after 6 months of leaving us in the dark, there's now a way to have more accurate reporting that we are just starting to see the light on, but it's been a big journey. So do everything that you can to make sure that you have accurate tracking, especially on your digital campaigns. And then also for your traditional campaigns, asking people how they actually heard about you and things like that. Install all your pixels and tags. I still talk to, when we do sales calls, the first thing we look at is their website and if they have the pixels and tags installed, and so many of them are spending a lot of money on advertising if they have no pixel installed. Implement all the iOS tracking requirements, and then set up G4. G4 is going to become compulsory. So initially everyone was like, I can't deal with that. I'm just going to use, I've just figured out Google Analytics now. Now I have to use G4. I'm just going to leave it for a few months. Well, that option is going to be taken away from us. I would recommend installing G4 now. And it's a big difference, a big change. Everything's changed. So start learning that platform now and try not to run away from it. And then set up a reporting dashboard. So when I worked in my college, I could give my principal great top level information about, this is how many website visitors we had. This is how many people actually were interested in the enrollment section of our website. This is how many people submitted an inquiry. This is how many people booked a tour. And this is how many people applied. And we could then diagnose step by step what was happening, where are the bottlenecks, and where are people not converting. And we found that it was solving one problem, okay, moving up to the ladder, okay, solve the next problem, okay, let's change the way we do our tours, or let's change the way our opt-in forms looked on the website, or the dates of our tours and things like that. We could diagnose step by step and get better in a progressive way by looking at the data every month. Also, what I see is, and I got very discouraged when I looked through the data on a month-to-month basis. Just to mention here that I don't want you to shoot yourself in the foot here by just reporting on a monthly basis, like, oh, we got 5 inquiries. You know, we put on an ad last month and we got 5 inquiries from it. Actually, you need to look at the data across the span of at least a year. Before you can call it. So yes, you can have a marketing report in January, February for the previous year, but leave it until April to finalize that report to really get some good, like, closed loop data on that, in. Okay, so now that we've spoken through all of those diagnostic issues, I want to know from you, what is your, taking all that information, what is one thing that you would like to implement over the next 12 months to make your marketing better? I'd love you to type that in the chat. And yeah, tell me what your ideal next 12 months looks like. What will you have implemented? And while you're doing that, if there's any of the points in the above presentation that I went through that you think you need more help on, Raquel's going to paste a link in the chat where you can book a free 15-minute call with one of our team, and we can go through, we can go through it with you and give you ideas on which part of this process you need to change. Okay, a content strategy in place. Yes. Natasha, I did an article about that recently. And one of the ideas was that you could record your principal actually, I don't know if we've posted that content publicly yet, but there's content coming out. But you can record your principal on when they're on the stage, when they're talking at parent information nights. And then you can have that content transcribed, or you can just take video snippets and share that. That's a great way. Getting your leader's voice out there as content is a great way to start. Building your principal's profile is a great way to start. Also having like downloadable ebooks, you know, how to choose a school, although how to choose a school is very often done, but learning resources, specific teacher written resources that parents can use for home learning, things like that, make it a great way to build a really cost-effective email list, much cheaper to have the email and phone number of a huge audience than to reach them on a billboard ad, believe it or not. Jackie, funding a digital enrollment platform to ensure much better ability to nurture potential enrollments. Yes, Jackie, I hear you, and it's advanced and it's a long-term change, but it's worth it. If you can focus on that platform first and operate from that place, as everything you do from there will be way more effective. Developing a simple and effective nurturing strategy. Yes, Nikita, totally. We implement software called Active Campaign for our clients. It's super. I mean, we use all the kind of funnel and inquiry track and all of those softwares that our clients have, but the one thing we have noticed is that's not it's CRM software, but it's not marketing software. You need marketing software that can tell you when someone visits the prep page on your website and scores them and gives you that information so that you can send them kind of prep specific information. And Raquel's just posted a nifty post that we're talking about, marketing reporting for schools, for dashboards. Great. Okay. So yes, if anyone, I'd love for you to book that appointment. If anyone wants to have a quick chat with the team, Nikita, I'd love to chat to you specifically about developing your nurturing strategy there. We'll have a few ideas to share with you. Follow the link. It's Roberts Digital's main website. Book your appointment. You'll go through directly to my calendar and you'll be able to choose a 15-minute time slot. Thank you, Lynn. Does anyone have any other questions? You can, post them in the. Haley says, mention for tracking pages, Active Campaign. It is advanced marketing software, I would say. So we set it up for schools. So we have a plug and play sort of system that we do through Active Campaign. And then at the end of the day, I think you pay $50 to $120 a month for the software. So that's worth looking into. Joey asks, what is G4 Analytics? It's Google Analytics G4 Generation 4. So it's the new Google Analytics. It's I can't even go into the complexity of why it's different and how it's different, but it's geared to handle the new ways that we treat cookies and privacy. It's got new ways of tracking goals. Completely new revamped version of Google Analytics. And pretty soon your normal Google Analytics will not work and you'll have to have G4 installed to get any website data. So Google Analytics just basically gives you website data on, how many users you're getting, that sort of thing. Yes, Nikita, I do have examples of reporting dashboards that work. I'm going to quickly open them up. Bear with me a moment. I'm making typing noises into my mic. I'm sorry. I'm just going to fetch it for you. Reporting dashboards. There we go. I'm hoping that I'm going to send the right link, but there's a few examples of reporting dashboards for you. You will require a data connector to get those dashboards to work. Something like Supermetrics, or you can have us build a marketing dashboard for you, which includes the software as part of that. Great. If I don't have any more questions, I'm going to call it a day. I'm going to give you 2 more minutes just to, I'm sure most of you on this chat would be part of our Facebook group, Marketing Mastery for Schools. If you're not, we'd love to have you in the group. And then your ebook, 5 ways to get enrollments in 90 days. That gives you a great overview of the 5 most important things that I think you should focus on if you are just starting out your journey in terms of attracting enrollments. And don't forget to book a free chat if you'd like to chat with one of our team members about, and you can just type in the comments of that chat of the booking calendar what you'd like to have answered, and we can have a chat to you. Nikita, can you see the link for the reporting dashboard? I just sent it. Let me just quickly, reporting dashboards for schools. Let me just repaste that into the chat. There we go. So there's a few links that you'll want to grab in the chat. So before we end the call, just to make sure that you get it. Otherwise, you can just message me if you've missed anything. So there's the reporting dashboards for schools, and then we have the marketing reporting, marketing reporting dashboards for schools, and then we have the, sorry, we've not typed it in, we've pasted it in so many times. I'm sure you've got it, Nikita. And then the Facebook group, Marketing Mastery for Schools. If you're not in the group, we'd love to have you, but I'm sure you are part of the group already. Great. Thank you very much. I hope you have a very productive term 2, and that you're refreshed and energized and ready to start a fresh new term. Thank you, Jackie. I love chatting to you. Okay, thanks, Joey. Cheers. I'm just leaving. If anyone needs to copy anything out of the chat, they can. Bye, Haley. I think she's already gone. Cheers, Joey. Cheers, Natasha.